we are actually on to a new book now, and that is The Half-Blood Prince. War is starting! It's sort of hard to be, like, energetic when you're just like, okay, so people are dying. Okay, cool. So with this one, of course, I love for me how it's like this pretty bright blue, green, and blue, and then we're actually, this is the section we need to pay attention to, not this, oh look at the prettiness around it, because the prettiness is there, but at its center, stuff is going wrong. And also, on the back, that is not a good color of green. So the first chapter that we get in The Half-Blood Prince is the other minister, which really then does sort of throw us for a loop because of the different starting points that we've had previously. This has got to be sort of the most outside of what we're used to. This is sort of a callback to the start of the very first book, where we are starting out with the Muggles, who are perfectly normal, thank you very much, and just trying to deal with everything until the Wizarding World sort of comes crashing in, like whale breaching, just and that's sort of the interesting thing, is because what this chapter does, instead of orienting us to what's going on, in some ways it does, it actually works more as a way to disorient us, to put us off kilter, and show that sort of everything is up in the air right now. Because while we are getting the basic information that we need to place us where we are, what's happened since the end of Order of the Phoenix, it's not quite the normal way of doing it. For example, okay, we start with the title, The Other Minister, and then we start with the Prime Minister and we say, oh, okay. Especially then when Fudge comes in and we think, okay, so the other minister is the Prime Minister. We've been focusing on the Ministry for Magic, and we need to remember that the Muggles are actually here, until we realize that the other minister is actually referring to Fudge. It is the Prime Minister who calls Fudge the other minister in his head, and this chapter is actually from the Prime Minister's perspective for the most part. Like, while we remain in third person, it really is the Prime Minister's perspective. It's his thoughts and memories and considerations, which at first seem normal, perhaps, for a man in power. Even normal to us, like that point where you're just so tired and worn out that the thing you're trying to read is just sort of floating and you're just like, I have read the same paragraph 5 times and none of it's registered. But it's not quite getting us to that comfort zone of, yeah, we know what's going on, because we have that switcheroo. We think, oh yeah, we know what's going on, and then suddenly actually the other minister's Fudge, and we've been pulled out of both the Muggle world and the magical world and sort of stuck in this liminal position in between, where we're not actually getting everything from the Muggle perspective, because the Prime Minister is aware of this other world, but we're not getting the full magical perspective either, because the information we're being given is very clipped information. We're not getting the full story here. And suddenly that's what we need to realize, is things have happened and no one's going to explain it to us. We're just expected to keep up, like, come on, come on. If you didn't know that the bridge was taken down by Voldemort, well, then you're stupid. And we're just sort of like, Guys, we have been out of it. And that's exactly it. This chapter is meant to disorient us because we have been out of it. Even if you're like me and you're moving pretty much directly from Order of the Phoenix into the Half-Blood Prince, we've still missed at least a month, maybe 2, that we don't know what's going on. And we're like Harry in that way. Harry, who's been shoved into his aunts and uncles and is suddenly out of the loop, despite the fact that terrible things have happened. Like, people that we have briefly met this past book are now dead in pretty apparently horrible ways. Not that anyone's going to explain how that one happened. Like, Amelia Bones is dead. Apparently put up a fight. Yeah, Dora, like, killed in a room, locked from the inside, but we all know how that happened. No, we don't. Amelia Vance, killed right outside the Prime Minister's domain. Is anyone going to explain this? Anyone? No? And then Fudge just fully admits, like, yeah, and I've been sacked. Like, I had to resign. And now we've got this other guy coming in who is willing to explain less than Fudge was willing to explain. And we're just sort of like, oh my god. And then we hit the end, of course, where the Prime Minister finally sort of snaps and says, but you guys are wizards, you have magic. Shouldn't you be able to fix this? And Fudge's response, of course, is, well, yes, but the other side has magic too. And that's got to be some, like, our sudden realization of just, we as readers are out of our league. We are with the Prime Minister on that one, even if we have sort of a position of power. The Prime Minister being, of course, the Prime Minister for us. It's the fact that we've read the entire series and have knowledge, collective knowledge, that a lot of our major characters don't actually have collectively. And yet we're still sitting here like, nope, this is terrifying. We become as powerless as the Prime Minister does here, and everything is just up in the air, and no one's explaining anything. We don't know why we're here, and in fact, then when we finish this chapter, we're thinking, okay, let's get back to Harry. We're not going to get right back to Harry. Everything is up in the air, and even if we've had chapters like this that do start us off some other place, we usually return to Harry really quickly. But that's not going to happen, because our next chapters is Spinner's End. We're not going to get to Harry until chapter 3. And that's weird for us, because we're looking at this going, hey, Harry Potter. But the same way that we started the chapter going, the other minister must be referring to the Prime Minister. That's been thrown out the window. So we need to be careful with our expectations moving forward. We're actually framing this from the point of view that we think we've got this figured out, until it's very abruptly thrown in our faces that we don't have it figured out. And I think that's sort of a warning, because we're then going to go into Spinner's Edge, and we're going to find out more stuff there that, like Harry, I think we have a tendency to say, oh yeah, now we've got it figured out. No, we don't. We don't have things figured out. We do not have things figured out, and nobody's talking about anything, so yay! Okay, so start of our 6th book. Oops. Sorry there. Start of our 6th book, and already things are up in the air, and the pattern that we are used to has been completely thrown out the window. This is going to be fun. So I'm going to keep reading, and I hope you do too. See you next time.